upstairs to the newsroom and talking to Patty Ann Brown here in a minute, because I don't care if it removes the nerves in my nose. Zicam works. I love it. I won't live without it. Helps my colds go away. All right. Hello, America. Here is the hot list tonight. These are common sense solutions to the stories where the mainstream media is not doing their job. Who would have guessed that? Former President Jimmy Carter is now going to call on President Obama to remove the group Hamas from the U.S. terror list. Yes. Despite years of homicide bombings, rocket attacks, shootings, to reach their goal of creating a peaceful Islamic Palestinian state in place of Israel, President Carter wants them off the terror list. Yeah, I think it'd been good. What do you think? Carter's in the Middle East trying to persuade Hamas to recognize Israel and renounce violence and accept previous peace deals. Hamas says, I don't think so. By the way, Carter's own convoy was nearly blown up by 2 roadside bombs. They were discovered by Hamas. And remember when the stock market tanked back in the fall and your 401k, my 401k kind of sucks? You remember that? Don't you wish you had Senator Dick Durbin's financial advisors? He's great. They are really good. I don't know why we didn't call these guys up. He had meetings with Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson and then Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke. And in a meeting that was private with senators on September 18th, the Treasury Secretary and the Fed Chair said, wow, look out what's coming. Well, the next day, Senator Durbin sold mutual funds worth over $42,000. Wow. In a few weeks, he sold $116,000 and invested nearly $100,000 in Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Now, the Durbin spokesman said, what? Oh, the information Paulson and Bernanke gave, in that September meeting, it wasn't secret. I mean, okay, it was with the senators and stuff, but it came out publicly the next day, and he was only doing what other investors would do. Sure, especially after sitting in a private meeting with the Treasury Secretary and the head of the Federal Reserve, which just happened to me last weekend. Okay, it never happens. And thousands of people protest in the streets of Iran. 7 people reportedly killed, and who knows how many more injured. I've been watching this story on TV for the last few days, and I think everybody is missing the point. These people are amazingly courageous. The people there are protesting, think of this, think of it in American terms, the re-election of President Ahmadinejad. They are charging election fraud. Now, you would think that that's kind of like, oh, that's Bush-Gore, okay, election fraud. Not really. Let me explain this. Iran is a theocracy. This is a country that is run by a bunch of mullahs and the Ayatollah and a group called the Guardian Council. All right, they answer directly to God, not to the people. So if you put this into terms, who's next in line from God? Nothing. Let's just assume Obama was like the Messiah and president for life, okay? Can't ever vote him out. Oh, dude doesn't think this isn't coming. Anyway, it would be like the people then protesting on, the election between Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. Are we really going to get beaten by sticks for that? It's not going to make any difference. Well, I mean, it might be a little more entertaining with Joe Biden being the vice president, but Nancy Pelosi would be pretty entertaining. We barely even show up for our presidential elections. Iranians are protesting over the smallest shred of freedom. Iran is not exactly known for their stellar human rights records. These people are risking their lives over what is basically their vice president. America, let me ask you a question. I never thought I would say this, but don't you think we might learn a thing or two from the Iranians? I mean, New York Times, I just want you to know, I'm not saying that we should have violent protests in the streets. The founders of this country had the foresight to write down our rights, and now we take them for granted. Arguably, freedom of speech and freedom to assemble, freedom to bear arms, most important. I think we need to exercise a few of our rights, like speaking out and assembling. The government is going around the oversight rules they set up. I told you that just a few minutes ago. Our economic future is being flushed away. Our president and Congress, they are, tomorrow or the next day, they're going to give more control to the Fed. Who's for that? That's a private corporation. Plus, They are selling out our troops and giving money to the International Monetary Fund. And the media, the watchdog of the government, ABC is going to broadcast from the White House on health care. CBS is busy apologizing for David Letterman's stupid jokes. Remember this story from the beginning of the country? 1787. End of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. Founders had spent a really hot, wicked, humid, without air conditioning, or, anything but woolen underpants. And there in the middle of the summer in Philadelphia. It's horrible to be in Philadelphia now, but without air conditioning or deodorant? No, thank you. So they're sitting there and they're trying to figure out what kind of government we should have. Story goes that Benjamin Franklin came into the street after they were finished with the Constitutional Convention, and the woman said, "Well, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us? A republic or a monarchy?" Franklin replied, quote, "A republic, if you can keep it." The question is, can you keep it? It's up to us. I wrote this book. It's Common Sense. It's a book I didn't want to write, quite honestly. Well, I wanted to write it, but I didn't want to release it. At first, I didn't think I could write it. Some of my listeners, I wrote while I was on vacation this Christmas. I started writing it, and I just wrote a blog, and I just said, I'm working on something that's heavy on my heart. I didn't want to be more specific because I didn't think I'd ever release this. I certainly wasn't going to release it with my name. And then I thought, get over it. I didn't want to release it with my name for a couple of reasons. One, I know what my name means to a lot of people. A lot of people hate me or think I'm a joke or whatever. That's fine. So I didn't want it to discredit the message. The other reason I didn't want to put my name on it is because I know what the New York Times says about me, and it's not true. I love my country, and I don't want violence. I just want to return to common sense. And I think you do too. This is one citizen's opinion. It's a case of an out-of-control government. It's not about the Republicans, it's not about the Democrats, it's about both of them. It's available in bookstores right now, went on sale today. Pick it up and pass it on to a friend. Jeff Foxworthy, he's next.